Welcome back. Vengeance took place over the weekend with the tag titles changing days from Judgment to New. Kane returned in a mask that we hadn't seen before to attack The Undertaker. And all three belts on Raw were retained by our champions, including Kurt Angle at middleweight, who in his post-match press conference declared that the division was cleared by him. His sights are now set on the heavyweight title. Which brings us to Raw, where Seth Rollins opened up the show with a promo, disgusted at Angle's comments. The chip on the shoulder of Rollins has much to do with seeing himself caught between eras. He's had the peak of the last era to contend with in the middleweight division as he hit his young prime, and now he sees the next era filtering in and sees them getting opportunities for titles such as Bron Breakker earlier on in the season. And it is Bron Breakker that comes out first, interrupting the promo to plead his case for the young guys, because whilst Rollins didn't name anyone, there's an obvious quad of young guys coming up. Bron Breakker, Cody Rhodes, Carmelo Hayes, and Austin Theory. Speaking of which, Austin Theory comes out after Breakker shares some words with Rollins. Theory says that Breakker's been handed everything, being a second-generation wrestler. Theory says he had to work for everything. Then LA Knight comes out and says he hasn't worked for anything. LA Knight's been on the indie scene working his ass off. Theory's just got here. What is he talking about? And all of this leads to a tag match. To begin the show, we've been introduced to Rollins and Breakker before, but not really Austin Theory or LA Knight. As previously mentioned, LA Knight did come up on the indie scene and has been known for his skills on the mic just as much as his powerful and experienced in-ring abilities. Theory is very athletic, he's very crafty. He wrestled to a high level amateur in Atlanta, but being a few years younger than Cody and Bron, he didn't face them in competition. All in all, a great match to open up the road to Summerslam after a big pay-per-view. An all-action match. Big moves each way, and it ends with Rollins catching Knight with a curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, and Austin Theory is getting all buddy-buddy with Rollins. Bit of an ass kisser. We fast forward a couple of weeks to Seth Rollins taking on Bron Breakker. Last week there was a match between Theory and Knight, and this week sees the other half of that earlier tag match face-off. Knight, with all his experience, saw Theory's craftiness coming, until he didn't. Theory picks up a win over a man with a built-in fan base from his indie career. But in this one, despite Breakker having large portions of the match where he's doing very well, ends up going down to a curb stomp off the middle turnbuckle. It took a little extra juice to get the job done, but Rollins does it. And then, just to make sure that he's made his point, Rollins takes a kendo stick to Breakker after the match in a declaration to the middleweight division that he's not mucking around. He was interviewed after this, and Rollins ranted about none of these youngsters being able to beat him, that he wants his title match guaranteed, yada yada yada. The next week on Raw, McMahon comes out, says he's not going to be stripping Angle of the middleweight title, despite his lack of interest in defending it, but he will be giving Rollins a guarantee at SummerSlam. It's just not the guarantee he was asking for. The match at SummerSlam will be Seth Rollins and a contender yet to reveal themselves for a Money in the Bank contract, which means that should the winner want a title match, all they have to do is get the match approved by management. Any reasonable scenario in which they ask for a title match, the champion must accept. Nakamura and AJ Styles are a bit too mature for all these antics though, they're staying out of it. They also cite the lack of a need for a Money in the Bank contract in order to earn their title shots, being at the top of the division anyway. Unfortunately, they're both perfect opponents for each other. They're both babyfaces, both experienced, they're world class, they're very competitive, very creative. AJ has travelled to Japan intermittently his whole career, and so this is a rivalry that tracks back a decade. So Styles wants This spot, Nakamura just coming off a title shot. He wants to stay sharp and maintain his position at the top of the rankings. May the better man win. It's a very closely contested match, with both men being very aware of each other's strengths and moves. AJ gets an early advantage, but Nakamura makes a tactical return after taking a powder. He punishes Nakamura when he tries to take another breather, though, with a flippy. Styles, a former Intercontinental champion, has top-notch striking, but Nakamura, a former heavyweight champion in Japan, is a level above. He really drives home that point on his rival with a brutal, non-stop onslaught of kicks, knees and stomps. Styles comes back from being bashed around the ring to pull off an impressive counter into the rolling calf killer for an upset win. Previously on this card was also Cody Rhodes defeating LA Knight. Moving right along, after Rollins defeated Carmelo Hayes in singles action, Hayes teamed up with Rhodes to take on Theory and Rollins and picked up the win. A particular highlight of the match being when Rollins and Rhodes, whenever they clashed, it was electric. And what it highlighted was that Rhodes seems to best represent what Rollins is so angry about. He represents change. And that change is beyond Rollins. It moves past Rollins. But anyway, back to this match. It's a rematch, obviously. AJ Styles and Nakamura. Nakamura wants his win back. AJ Styles, if he can beat Nakamura again, really puts himself at the top of the division. So, worth it for both of them. They had a great match prior. They picked up where they left off. And big moves right from the start. Fantastic contest once again. The fans love it. Styles absorbs a Kinshasa. Saw it coming. Not enough time to get out of the way, but enough time to get his hands up and sort of cushion the blow somewhat. So he kicks out at 2, only for Nakamura to switch straight into a landslide. Kill the match there. AJ Styles is down and they are one apiece. So that was our introduction to the middleweight division. Part 2 to come on our road to Summerslam. Thank you for watching this one. Until next time, have a good one.